Hi everybody,
Jim Cameron here. Welcome to M-Ball Movie Recaps. And, I'm so excited to recap to you the Avatar story so far, before you watch The Way of Water. Unfortunately, I won't be spoiling anything for Avatar 2, but if you still haven't watched the original one, spoiler warning for you. The story began with the main character, Jake Sully, a Marine who was paralyzed in combat. Tommy, his twin brother, had been practicing for 3 years to control an avatar on planet Pandora. Humans have invaded the planet in the hopes of obtaining unobtainium, a precious metal. When Jake's brother dies, he is recruited to take over his avatar, a hybrid of human and indigenous Pandoran DNA known as the Navi. He is transported to Pandora via cryo chamber and disembarks wearing an oxygen mask, as humans are unable to breathe the air on Pandora. When Jake arrives on Pandora, he meets Dr. Grace Augustine and Norm Spellman, another Avatar driver. Grace is enraged that Jake is present, claiming that she requires Tommy, who is trained for this. She connects Jake's brain to his neural link, allowing his brain to control his avatar. He immediately disobeys the orders of doctors who want him to be easy once he awakens in his avatar body. He dashes out of the facility, overjoyed that he can now walk. Grace meets with Parker Selfridge, the man in charge of the invasion, and Colonel Quaritch, his military commander. Grace is irritated that Parker continues to push his way in. She was accepted into the Avatar program, which is her department. Jake, Norm, and Grace take their avatars outside the facility in Trudy's helicopter. She drops them off the ground for their canvassing mission. Jake wanders away from the group where he encounters a creature that almost attacks him. Grace warns him not to shoot the creature because its skin is too thick for bullets. However, another creature, a panther-like, appears and begins to attack Jake. Grace screams at Jake to run, which he does, narrowly escaping by jumping off a waterfall cliff. Now completely separated from the group, Grace and the others fly over until nightfall trying to find him, but they must adhere to curfew orders. Grace is concerned that Jake will not survive the night alone on Pandora. Jake is wandering around a forest at night, surrounded by a slew of different creatures. Neytiri, a female Navi, is watching him from a branch above him. She is about to shoot him with an arrow when a small anemone-like insect lands on it. This appears to be a warning sign that she should not shot. Jake later finds himself in the middle of a pack of panther-like creatures. He eventually tries to fight them off and becomes overwhelmed. When Neytiri rushes over and begins slaughtering the creatures with her bow and arrow, Jake admires her, but she is upset about having to take the lives of these helpless creatures. Jake pursues her through the woods. When he asks her to teach him how to defend himself, she declines, but suddenly more anemone-like creatures fly around them. Neytiri is taken aback by the hundreds of them perched on Jake's body. As a result, she transports him to her village. On the way, they came across the Sootsies group of horses. They wanted to kill Jake because they knew he was one of the Sky People, a human disguised as an avatar. However, Neytiri explains that he was chosen by their deity, Iwao. They agree to return to their village, where the leaders will make the final decision at the village, which is located at the root of a large tree. Jake meets Neytiri's parents, Moat and Aitukan, the leaders of the Umatikaya clan. They're furious at Neytiri for bringing Jake, who claims there was a sign from Iwa. Jake claims that all he wants to do is learn about the Navis, and they agree to let him stay if he learns everything from Neytiri. She grumbles about the responsibility, but she obeys her parents' orders. They all fall asleep and Jake awakens in his human form. Back at the base, Grace and Norm are relieved that his avatar is safe, and they question him about it. They're impressed that he survived the creature's attack and managed to join the navies. They want him to use his position to seek a diplomatic solution. Colonel Quaritch, on the other hand, meets with Jake and tells him to use this to discover the Nava's weaknesses. So they understand how to defeat the Navy. Quaritch promised Jake that he would request costly surgery to regain his legs. In the days that followed, Neytiri taught Jake the ways of the Na'vi people, including horseback riding and the Na'vi language. Jake becomes more involved with the clan and persuades them to allow Grace's avatar to visit. That she does. Jake is also taught how to hunt and make a clean kill by Neytiri. She says he's ready now that he's finally done it, and she takes him to her banshee's lair, a pterodactyl, a bird on which she can ride. Neytiri explains that unlike horses, each banshee has only one rider for the rest of his life, and Jake must find his. The two of them, along with some other navies, scale a massive structure in the sky to reach the banshee's lair. Neytiri assures Jake that he will understand what Banshee has in store for him. Others will flee, but the right one will try to kill him. Jake finds a banshee that stands up to him and tackles it to try to ride it. Jake is nearly killed before making the connection and riding his first banshee. Neytiri joins him, flinging her own banshee when they are suddenly attacked by Toruk, a huge dragon-like creature. They fly down to the ground and manage to flee the Toruk. Jake's avatar sleeps and awakens in his human form every time. He keeps video logs of his Pandora activities. He keeps one set of logs for Grace and another for Colonel Quaritch. So the Colonel suspects Jake's head isn't in the game because he hasn't sent logs in a while. Jake claims he simply needs more time before they attack in order to find a diplomatic solution. Back on Pandora, Neytiri leads Jake to a sacred area where he discovers the Nenivi can communicate with Awa and hear their ancestors' memories. Neytiri claims that by bringing Jake there, she has cemented his place in the clan and has officially made him one of them. She says he can pick a woman and make suggestions as to who he should choose. He claims to have made his decision, but this woman must choose him in return. Neytiri says she has, and they make love in front of Awa, which means they are mated for life. The next morning, Neytiri awakens to the sound of a bulldozer approaching through the trees. The humans have arrived to cut down the Awa trees. Neytiri is screaming in agony, pleading with them to stop. Jake's avatar is still sleeping and his consciousness has returned to the base. Grace makes him eat before reconnecting to his avatar. He finally connects at the perfect time and is nearly run over by Bulldozer. He frantically waves his arms in an attempt to get the bulldozer to stop, but it does not. Jake leaps onto the machine, shattering the cameras. Colonel Quaritch watches the video and realizes it's Jake's avatar. Jake appears to have switched sides. Back at home, Tree, everyone is devastated that humans have destroyed Awa's Valley. The Navy are angry with them for bringing the Sky People there, despite the fact that they claim they had nothing to do with it. He notices this and realizes that Neytiri and Jake have already mated. Grace is taken aback by this. Colonel Quaritch storms into the link area at the base and breaks their avatar links. Grace yells at Parker, claiming that more time is required. Quaritch and Parker intend to attack the home tree, which is located on top of Pandora's largest unobtainium deposit. They agree to let Jake and Grace reconnect in order to get the Navy out of the home tree before they attack. Jake and Grace go to home tree in an attempt to persuade them to leave. Jake admitted that he had suspected this from the start. Neytiri is upset because she said she trusted him. Jake tries to convince her that everything has changed because he has fallen in love with her and Pandora. But she screams at him and they restrain Grace and Jake as the military arrives. The aircraft begins to attack with bombs and the Navy responds with ineffective arrows. Moat, if Grace and Jake are truly Navi, they must assist them. Trudy is in one of the helicopters and has decided to leave, claiming that she did not agree to this. The bombs eventually cause the home tree to collapse. Neytiri's father is killed by a falling tree branch as the military departs. Quaritch has broken Grace and Jake's links yet again, and they, along with Norm, are imprisoned in a cell. Trudy brings food to the prisoners and frees them with the help of Max, an avatar program doctor. Jake tells Max to stay behind because he needs someone he can trust on the inside. Trudy starts her helicopter, which is discovered by Quaritch, who bursts into the hangar and begins shooting at the four of them. They escape and go to the floating mountains, where they set up a link station that Quaritch cannot track. Jake realizes as they fly that Grace has been shot and is bleeding profusely. When they arrive at the link station, Jake decides that he must regain the Navy's trust. He grabs his Banshee and attempts to ride with 2 Rook. He is successful, and the creature is flown to the Tree of Souls, where all the navies have gone. They all vowed to honor him once they realized he had tamed the beast. Neytiri claims she was once afraid for her people, but not any longer. She says, "I see you," which is the highest expression of love between the Na'vi. This means they can see into people's souls. Jake returns the sentiment and rushes to Grace's aid as she is dying. Grace and her avatar are both delivered to the Na'vi. Moat performs a ritual to permanently implant Grace's consciousness into her avatar. Despite their best effort, Grace's injuries are too severe and she dies. Then Jake tells everyone about the Sky People. They will attack again, and they must defend themselves. They seek assistance from other Pandora clans. Quaritch notices via radar at the base that the Navy's number is slowly approaching 2,000. Max sends Jake a video message about Quaritch's plan to attack the Tree of Souls. On the Tree of Soul, Jake begs Awa to assist the Navies. According to Neytiri, Awa does not take sides and only protects the balance of life. The final battle begins the next day, with ground troops arriving. The Navies arrive in front of them on horseback. The planes are met in the air by Navies on Banshees lead by Jake and Neytiri. While Norm's avatar is with Navies on the ground, the militaries are gradually decimating them, because they are fighting against guns with bows. The Banshee warriors in the air are not doing enough damage. Trudy assists by attacking other planes in a stealthy manner. Her own helicopter, however, is hit and explodes, killing her. Norm is also shot on the ground and awakens gasping for air in his link station. A plane attacks Neytiri, who falls to the forest floor but survives. Jake is attempting to communicate with his comrades. However, no response is received. Neytiri is hiding on the ground, but she is surrounded by humans. Jake radioed her not to attack because she would undoubtedly be killed by guns. She doesn't pay attention and prepares her bow for a fight to the death, but then all of the forest creatures appear and charge at the humans. Hundreds of banshees from the sky were among them. Jake attacks Quaritch's plane, but the colonel escapes on a robot-like exoskeleton. He falls to the forest floor and begins a one-on-one fight with Jake. Quaritch strikes a nearby link station, causing Jake's body to choke on Pandora's air. Jake is still fighting in his avatar form, but he has been penned by Quaritch. When Neytiri appears and shoots 2 arrows right through Quaritch's chest as he is about to kill Jake. She rushes over to Jake, who has gone unconscious due to the broken link between his human and avatar bodies. Jake's human body stumbles and passes out inside the link station before reaching the emergency oxygen mask. Neytiri attempts to awaken Jake's avatar form, but realizes she needs to run into the link station and place the oxygen mask on Jake's human body. Jake is able to breathe again and awakens in the arms of Neytiri's. Jake, in human form, records his most recent video log. As he signs off, he declares that the humans were sent back to Earth and that only a few were allowed to remain in Pandora. Moat and Neytiri are performing the same ritual they attempted with Grace at the Tree of Soul. As the film concludes, Jake's consciousness is permanently implanted in his avatar as he opens his eyes. Thanks everyone for listening to my recap. That's the Avatar story thus far. I'm afraid I can't tell you anything about The Way of Water other than what you see in the latest trailers. Just wait until it hits theaters in 2 weeks. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and click this channel's notification bell. Also, you can comment down below if you want a request for any movie you wanted to be recapped.